Imagine a criminal chess match being played on two boards at the same time. The first board is brutal and chaotic, set in the hellscape of Cambodia, where scam compounds operate without rest. The second board, however, is clean and refined, located in the financial heaven of Singapore, where master architect Chen skillfully transforms the filthiest money into legitimate assets. And in one fateful moment at the end of October, both boards were overturned simultaneously. Yet when both the roots and branches of this billion-dollar empire were severed in a single stroke, did this monster truly die, or is it merely preparing to be reborn in an even more terrifying form somewhere else? If Cambodia, with infamous scam capitals like Sihanoukville, or bizarre complexes like KK Park in Myanmar, is the factory where billions in dirty money are squeezed from the sweat, tears, and blood of hundreds of thousands of victims, then Singapore is the luxury laundry room, especially in the case of Chen. This is not where crude scams take place. This is the final step, the most sophisticated and crucial one, where that money is legalized. As the Washington Post assessed, Cambodia is where Chen and the Prince Group amassed their wealth, but Singapore is the key place where it became clean. He did not merely operate in Singapore, he lived there. Right in a country known for its zero-tolerance stance on corruption, he was said to have lived peacefully with his wife and 3 children, painting the picture of a successful family, an ideal immigrant model. A now-removed website of Chen family office once described him with glowing praise, recounting his journey from running a gaming center in Fuzhou to becoming a real estate tycoon with the Prince Group. That was the facade, the glossy, expensive coat of paint covering a money laundering machine running at full capacity beneath the glamorous surface. For this laundry room to run smoothly, it needed a setting, a stage worthy of it, and Chen spared no expense to build a luxurious fortress where dirty and clean money could blend seamlessly without anyone noticing. In 2017, he splurged nearly $40 million USD solely on high-end real estate. Imagine this, not one but 2 super penthouses, a $17 million unit at Gramercy Park, perhaps to maintain the image of a happy family, but the other, a $16.2 million unit at Lunéville Ardmore, was the true lair of the final boss. This place was transformed into a genuine business salon, a euphemism for a venue of secret meetings and hidden deals. It had a premium wine cellar, a private karaoke room, and a standard cigar lounge. Everything was designed to impress and soften any partner or official. On the streets of Singapore, he glided around in a Mercedes Maybach with the ostentatious 5555 plate number, an unmistakable symbol of power, a brazen declaration that he was king of his domain. And when he needed to relax or to discuss big business at sea, he hosted extravagant parties on the yacht Nannio, moored at the resort paradise of Sentosa. But that lavish stage was only the shell. Inside the real laundering engine was a network of companies engineered with precision. 1 year after buying the penthouses, Chen established DW Capital Holding, a family office in Singapore that claimed to manage over $60 million in assets. This was a brilliant move. Family offices are among the most discreet financial tools in the world. They are often used by the ultra-rich to manage assets, investments, and estate planning with minimal scrutiny. Put plainly, it's the perfect financial black box. To run this machine, he installed a trusted figure, Karen Chen Shilin, a Singaporean citizen who was later sanctioned by the U.S. as chief financial officer. But DW Capital was merely the command center. Around it was a constellation of satellite companies used for fronts, used for mixing funds. He operated Skylight Investment Management, a company specializing in auto loans, one of the most classic and effective laundering channels. Dirty money goes in as loans, then slowly returns as customer payments, clean. And that wasn't all. He opened a series of businesses selling seemingly romantic goods, like tea and whiskey, sometimes even with import tax exemptions. These companies didn't need to generate huge profits. Their main job was to create countless transactions, making dirty money nearly impossible to trace once blended into legitimate business activity. And this Singapore laundry room didn't just serve Chen, it was the financial hub, the beating heart pumping blood into a global criminal empire. Money earned in Cambodia, once laundered through family offices and shell companies in Singapore, was whisked away and deeply rooted in the world's most stable financial markets, transformed into untouchable blue-chip assets. Look at his asset map. In London, UK authorities froze a £100 million office tower on Fenchurch Street, along with a £12 million mansion and 17 other luxury apartments. In Hong Kong, Chen and his group controlled more than $300 million in assets. Even more alarming, he was the controlling shareholder of two publicly listed companies on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange, Geotech Holdings and Kuhn Group. This means dirty money wasn't merely buying real estate. It had penetrated so deeply that it became shares in public companies traded every day. In Taiwan, he spent $160 million acquiring prime real estate in Taipei, and his tentacles even extended to the tiny Pacific nation of Palau, where the Prince Group partnered with organized criminal figures to lease islands and build resorts. All these global tentacles were nourished from a single center, the financial machine in Singapore. It looked like a perfectly arranged chess game. Chen empire seemed impenetrable. Even on the day the U.S. announced their indictment, their arrogance was intact. DW Capital casually posted a job listing for a personal assistant with a salary of $5,500 per month. But they didn't know the net had already been cast. Singapore police likely received intelligence as early as 2024, but the spark that triggered the final strike came from the US and UK sanctions on October 14th. On October 31st, the operation launched. Singapore police confirmed an investigation into Chen and his associates for money laundering and document falsification. More than 150 million SGD, about $115 million, was seized. The luxury yacht Noni 2 sat motionless under a prohibition order. 11 vehicles, including the symbolic 5555 Maybach, were towed away. The prized bottles in the penthouse wine cellar were sealed. The Monetary Authority of Singapore rushed to reassure the public, stating that they had earlier received suspicious transaction reports and that some banks had even closed questionable accounts. Now the truth is laid bare. The most sophisticated laundry room, located in the safest place, has finally been raided, and Chen current whereabouts remain unknown. Under pressure from the US and UK, the collapse of Chen marked the beginning of an unprecedented exodus of criminal forces. Thousands of scam workers began a frantic escape. The chaos was so extreme that people captured footage of these individuals panicking and swimming across rivers using styrofoam boxes to flee into Thailand. At present, the whereabouts of Godfather Chen remain unknown. But even if he is eventually captured, his criminal empire is not guaranteed to fall with him. It has merely cracked open, like a hydra whose head has been severed. From that neck, not one, but hundreds of smaller, more agile heads emerge, always slipping into new shadows. Cybercrime in the 4.0 era has established a new truth. It does not need fixed territory. It only needs the internet, electricity, and most importantly, protection. And the first and most obvious destination is neighboring Thailand. With rugged borderlines cut only by rivers, crossing from Myanmar or Cambodia into provinces like Tak or Chiang Rai is relatively easy. This is the perfect Plan B. Massive 1,000-person empires like KK Park are outdated, too bulky, too conspicuous, and too easy to destroy with a single stroke. The new model is far leaner. Scammers now only need to rent a house, open a tiny tech company, or set up a disguised gambling den. Inside, all that's required is a few dozen people, a few dozen computers connected 24/7, and the machine of sin begins spinning again. They impersonate banks, impersonate police, create fake lovers to drain money from victims across the globe. The scam factory hasn't disappeared. It has merely moved across the river. If Thailand is the new front line, then Laos, wedged between Thailand, Cambodia, China, and Vietnam, is quietly becoming the new transit hub and logistics center for the entire network. Few people pay attention to Laos, and that is its deadly advantage. Its borders are long, its forests thick, and more importantly, its government lacks manpower to enforce control. Criminal organizations are not foolish enough to build a second KK park here immediately. Instead, they are turning Laos into a support center. Companies springing up in Laos are advertised as tech investments. In reality, they are intermediate hubs for money transfers, data collection points, suppliers of thousands of SIM cards and devices for groups operating in Thailand and Myanmar. From Cambodia, Sihanoukville to Laos, then looping through Thailand, is only about 400 kilometers. One truck passing 2 border checkpoints can relocate an entire headquarters. This is the underground route that criminal syndicates are using to restructure their empire right under the noses of law enforcement. But not all choose to remain in mainland Southeast Asia. Some organizations, especially the older ones, are returning to their original nest, and that nest is the Philippines. Long before Cambodia became the king of scamming, that crown belonged to Manila. From the 2000s to 2016, the Philippines was home to hundreds of sweatshop-style call centers, scamming billions of dollars from Western victims, mainly Americans, Canadians, and Brits. The 2016 hack that stole 81 million USD from Bangladesh's central bank and laundered the money through the Philippine casino system remains one of the most iconic heists in history. Now, as Cambodia is being purged, these organizations likely realize that the old nest has been forgotten long enough to become safe again. They return to set up disguised customer service centers, targeting both Asians and foreigners. And another emerging destination may be Sri Lanka. The country has just suffered a devastating economic crisis that left the government weak and easily corrupted. Asian crime groups can immediately rent land in Colombo, disguising themselves as IT firms or blockchain startups to operate scams. Overall, this empire may simply shed its skin and split into thousands of new viral strains, dispersed from Bangkok, Vientiane, Cebu, Colombo, all the way to Lagos. And the real nightmare is only just beginning, because these new viral strains come armed with cutting-edge weapons, AI and deep fakes. They can mimic anyone's voice, use chatbots to flirt automatically. Victims now can hardly distinguish what's real from what's fake. While the monster Chen is hiding somewhere on the horizon, a version 4.0 scam hell, more flexible and more ruthless, may already be rising just on the other side of the border. Thank you for watching this story. If you found it meaningful, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video. And now it's time to say goodbye. Thank you for staying with Societal Stories.